everyone. Welcome to another interesting and inspiring episode of Love and Marriage with Seyi, where we celebrate thriving marriages and sow success seeds and wisdom nuggets for growth. Thank you for being here with us today. Have you ever thought of your marriage as having a mission? Your marriage as being a ministry? You know, the couple we're talking to today believe that marriage should be a ministry. When your marriage has a mission and a purpose, then it has more meaning. It becomes more than just a marriage. It becomes something that binds you together, gives meaning to your relationship, and adds value to those that you meet just because you're married. Meeting in the most unlikely circumstances, they soon developed a very good friendship. And somehow the friendship developed to a love affair. And that love affair continues to thrive 35 years and counting. Pastor and Pastor Olanipekun work together in the ministry. They love traveling, spending time with their children. They love coaching couples. They do all they can to enrich the world and enrich the lives of those that God brings in contact with them. And so today it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you and welcome Pastor and Pastor Mrs. Sunday Olanipekun. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to be here.
I have had the good pleasure of knowing you guys for a good minute. And the biggest thing that stands out to me is the smiles. Always smiling, always laughing. And the very first question I want to ask you, because I know you have been married a good minute. We're talking about close to 35 years or more. How is it that you have been married for so long and you're always smiling? You're always joyful. Tell me.
Yeah, I believe that God has brought us to a place of understanding that our marriage, like it says, is part of the fulfillment of his plan. You know, the Bible says in Jeremiah that I know the plan and the thoughts that I have towards you. A plan of peace and to give you an expected end, to give you a hope and a future in him. And so we understood that our marriage is also part of fulfilling, this plan and the counsel of God. And we've gotten to a place, especially as we advance in marriage. Like you said, we're going to be 35 years in marriage in November by God's grace. And so we've received this peace, within us, that no matter what happens, we know that God is in control. And we understand that the purpose of God for us in all of this is that as we learn to rely on him and flourish in his joy, then we receive strength, even in challenging situations. That because we do not have the strength of our own, we depend on the strength. It's actually a choice we have made. Even sometimes when we have arguments, we end up like laughing at each other and then, making a fun of each other, even with the arguments. So yeah, God has just brought us to that place.
Yeah, like she said, the one that thrills me is when we argue. And the next thing is, so what are we arguing about? What's the problem actually? And then we just start laughing. So if it may be herself or myself that will start and say, look at you. What are you saying? What are you doing?
Just turn into a joke.
We turn it to joke. We turn it to fun because we've learned that we can get fun or pleasure out of everything that wants to destabilize us. So instead of allowing the thing to destabilize us, we turn it into fun.
Tell me one strategy for turning something that could destabilize, because we know that troubles in marriage, divorce in marriage, often begin with a single argument, with a single misunderstanding. So what is one strategy that you use that anybody can try to use to turn an ugly situation, something that can threaten to destabilize them, to something they're actually laughing about?
Yeah. One thing I learned growing in the marriage, for example, when we first got married, when we have an argument, like he has his point, I have my point. I used to want to make, my point to be like the final authority, immediately that, you need to listen. I have a point. I have it. But I got to understand that the more I try to argue, to get my point across, the more sometimes it might not even talk, but I see that he is so unhappy. So I'm seeing him unhappy even when I try to prove a point. Then God started dealing with me that you see that your husband is unhappy because you're trying to make this point so much. And sometimes people could even be there and I just want to make my point. But God started dealing with me and said, no, that when my husband, has a particular point to make and is so serious about it, I should just try to listen and be quiet. And then later, I can now try to say, but this is the way, I see it. But I can tell you, when we first got married, it wasn't like that. I was always immediately he raised the point I don't agree, I just say, no, it's not like that. But but God started dealing with me. And yeah, thank God that the Holy Spirit helped me. And then one strategy also is prayer. And I started praying that the Holy Spirit will prevail over the way I feel. Because usually women, we are people with lots of feelings. We get emotional very, very easily. Especially when we think we have a point and the husband doesn't want to listen. And I started asking the Holy Spirit to please, prevail even over my emotions and just help me to be reasonable, help me to be able to listen, help me to be able to see things from his own point also. And it started working. Yeah, I saw gradually, started changing.
I like the point you made about growth. You've grown as the marriage continued. You were growing. So tell us about the beginning. How did you meet? How did this begin?
I met her at the hospital. When I saw her, right inside of me, I felt she needed help. Got close to her, and then I stopped, and I then asked her, do you need help to get to the main road? Because it was a distance from the hospital to the main road. So she said, before I could say Jack Robinson, she was in the car.
Because I needed help.
Let's say this was ordained, right?
God sent help.
So by the time we go to the junction, she slept off. And I told her we were at the junction. She said she just mentioned her street where she lived. And fortunately, I know the place. So we just drove her home. And that was the meeting point. And then I think she managed to scribble her telephone number and just give me. I said, please call. So then I think a day or two after, I called to check on her to make sure she was okay. Then by the next time I will call again, she had gone for youth service. I think about 3 months thereafter, before we connected again and started talking.
He was there to help in my time of need. So it was just friendship. So he went back to school and that was it. But it became a friend
Yeah.
of a family.
I was actually closer to the family than herself. I was a schoolboy.
So,
so
so how did this friendship change? How did it go from friendship to becoming a love story?
it was in my final year in school. We were actually okay. When we met, I was a Muslim. I was not a Christian. But then suddenly, down the lane, I think the following year after we met, I got converted. I had to come to her, who used to think she was a Christian, to say, "Look, madam, you need to give your life to Christ now." Yeah, like the day after we dropped her at home, on our way back, I told my cousin, I said, there is something about this girl that I've not seen in any girl that I'm related with. And he was like, what's the problem with you? This sick girl, because she was so sick and you couldn't see any beauty in her. And so, what's your problem? What's your problem? I said, no problem. But this is the way I feel. And you know what? If God will give me someone like this woman to marry, I will serve God.
Wow. Just from picking her up the day she was sick?
That was the statement I made that day.
And God took him up on that word.
Wow. So it was not her beauty, it was not her eloquence or anything.
No.
What is it about her?
There was just something that drew me to her, and I think it was something on the inside that I longed for. Because all my life I've seen marriages at different shades and light. So I knew what I was looking for in a marriage. I was not planning to get married just for the fun of it. So it was either I get married to fulfill something, or I remain the way I am.
Let me ask you, I like what you've said, but how do you see anything? What is it that you saw in her? She was sick. You helped her because she was sick. But you also got this feeling in your inner man that this is a good woman you would want to end up with.
Yeah.
Now, I know that there are young folks.
Not even her. So the reason why I hung around her was to see if I would find someone younger, because I thought she was older than me, actually. and because she has finished school, but my thought was like, no. This is a no-go area. But let me hang around her. Maybe among the people she has, younger friends, I can find someone like her.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
And God is just a perfect connector. But by the time he proposed to me, I was like, you a student? No. What do you have? No. It's not possible. So I was looking at is the fact that I didn't have anything. I was still in school. I had finished 2-3 years. I'd even done a postgraduate course. So I was like, no, I don't want to go and suffer. No, I can't leave my daddy's house and go and suffer with any man. No.
So you see, and I think one very important thing in getting married, for those out there who are not yet married and are thinking of getting married, a lot of people are scared of marriage because of the troubles they see in it.
Yes.
The truth is that whether you marry right or you marry wrong, there will be troubles. So it is just that the preparation and the determination you have to live a good life. That's what makes the marriage to succeed. We can't, in life generally, whether you are single or married, there are troubles.
Yeah.
There's no human being on this earth who does not go through struggles. So whether married or unmarried, so I think one of the things that's important is for people to for the unmarried is to look for the right foundation.
Help us understand what you mean by the right foundation.
The right foundation is not anything based on, because what people call love today is we look at the package or the packaging and not bother much about the content. For me, I was not the right packaging for her. I didn't have the right, so looking at me, there was nothing to materially, there was nothing to say, oh, this is the man, this can be him. But in the content, like finally when she agreed to marry me, and I said, why? She said, well, you don't have anything now, but I know you have potentials.
Wow.
That was very, very, very key to me.
And before then, also, before then, even with our friendship, although we're friends, I could see that is a homely man, someone that values, family and relationship. And sometimes he doesn't, he didn't know. I was giving him, little tests, like to also try his patience, to try to see, the kind of person he really is. And I saw that, this is someone that has a very kind heart. Because I saw the way he was relating with my siblings. And even sometimes when it comes, I ignore him and all of that, he doesn't, take offense. He just sits, it's never in your face. It just gives you, that space to be who you want to be, at that time. And then the way he advises, my siblings, even myself sometimes. So I was studying him.
So let me ask you, and I'll start with you, ma'am. For the young ladies out there, the ones I call my love and marriage hopefuls, what would you say to them? And it's going to go to you both. How do they know the right person? How do they look beyond the packaging to the person? Like you said, he was not really, you couldn't think of him as your potential, but you eventually saw that he had potential. What will you say to a young person out there that's looking to help them look so they don't make the wrong choice? And for you, sir, you'll say the same thing, how to look, even if the person is sick, but how to maybe sense the spirit that this might be the right person.
For me, it was this peace I had. I had this peace and trust in God that there is a man, right? The right person that God has appointed for me somewhere there. And I just had this peace. What I will advise young people are just have your peace and pray, just be sincere with yourself. Because before then, like I said, I was in some relationship, and why did it not work? One of these guys just chatted on me one of these days, and was shouting, "Where were you?" I was like, "Really? You're not married and you're shouting at me like that?" And that was it. I thought I was joking. I said, no. So we have to be sincere with ourselves as to exactly what we want. And I believe that marriage is where I started from. Marriage is part of fulfilling that plan of God. So we need to get it right. And to get it right, you have to trust God. You have to have your peace.
Thank you.
So for me, marriage was for me to live in and have peace, or I don't get married. I was very, very clear about the future for me. Is either I get married and be in a marriage that I have peace, or I'm not married. Then, so the uppermost thing in my life was to find peace and balance in my life. And in the course of searching for peace, I found the Prince of Peace himself. who gave peace to me. That's the Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And once his peace was inside of me, and I wanted a home where peace will reign, he led me to to her. So because so what I would tell young people out there is, what are you looking for in marriage? It must be clear. If all one is looking for is just a companion, you can have that anytime, anywhere. But if you are looking for something more than just a companion, it's only in marriage you can find it.
Yeah, fulfilling purpose. Yeah. God helped us. God helped us to have some basic understanding when it comes to marriage, and also the fact that ultimately that this home that God Himself has established, God Himself, Jesus Christ Himself, is the head of that family. While my husband is my head and my glory, but the two of us are responsible to Him. The way we deal with each other, that also helped us to know that it's not that He's going to say, "I'm the head of this family. I can do whatever I want to do." He understood that He has Jesus to, to be
To
accountable.
report to.
The
Yeah.
same thing for me. So there was some, this understanding God gave us, and it helped. And even when we have our differences, and we're like, "No, I'm not talking to you. I'm not eating today." Sometimes we just want it to just, "You're not eating. This food, okay." I said, "Is that what the Bible says you should do?" So we just, like turn it into, it's a joke.
That is awesome. Now, I know that you have said that a strong belief is that marriage is for fulfilling a purpose. Marriage is for fulfilling, and you have talked about how you're both into meeting needs, into giving, and things like that. How does seeing your marriage as a vehicle for fulfilling purpose help your marriage to grow, help your relationship to blossom?
So yeah, because we have this understanding that we are called to serve, and to build lives, and we know that the strength of our service lies in our union. So if I go away, I will lose my strength. If she goes away, she will lose her strength. So we have that common goal. We have that common bond. Yeah, sometimes even during the work, we may have frictions, but we realize and understand that, look, there is a reason for us to get together and look forward. And so because we trust God and we love God, we want to please Him. So I think that's something that keeps us moving, that keeps us going. That if God gave His only begotten Son for us, what are we giving back to Him? So we see this marriage as a vehicle to reach the people that God wants to reach.
And we have a number of marriages going through challenges, that do use like our home. Sometimes, they come, so the couple come
And stay with us.
They stay with us, so they use our home to learn, and then pray together, counsel. So our home is open, open to make sure that homes, marriages, lives are established in God's purpose. So and it gives us joy that anytime, anyone, any couple can come, and they do come. We have quite a number of families coming to stay with us, to learn, and like some of these questions they're asking, how come you've been able to stay together for so long, and you're still smiling, you're flourishing, and we share this with them, and then they see, and then so seeing that gives us a lot of joy, that homes can flourish and be established in God's calling through our lives.
So you believe that relationships and marriages are strengthened when the couple believe that they have a purpose. There's a purpose to their being together. And that helps them to stay together. Would you say that a couple should find their purpose before getting married, or they can find their purpose in the marriage?
It works both ways. If they are mindful of it, they may not be able to find it before marriage, or they may be able. But one thing is to be mindful of it, to be mindful of the fact that we have a goal, we have a purpose. Because marriages are not made just to fulfill some pleasures. It's divine, because it's God that started it. It's not an institution started by man. God himself started it. So, and if he started it, when he started it, he gave instructions to the first marriage that he conducted. When he brought Eve out of Adam, he told them what to do. So there is an instruction for every home. There is a goal that every home should fulfill and establish.
Yeah.
And the goals vary from individuals to individual, depending on the grace of God that's upon them.
Yeah. Like I grew up, like I said, loving to help people in need, whoever you are. And then the same thing, my husband has this compassion also.
It sounds like opening your home, opening your marriage, opening your life up.
Yes.
Even brings you joy and enriches your marriage. Let me ask you, for that couple out there, for you guys, it seems very easy because you guys are united. You guys are one in your goal. How about that couple out there? The wife wants to do a certain thing. The husband wants to do another. So they both want to serve. They both want to be in ministry. They just can't decide or agree on what to do because they're both wanting to do separate things. Do you have a word for such a couple?
Yeah, and the word is that it's not about them, it's about God. As long as it's about them, it's wrong.
There will always be clashes.
There will always be clashes. But if it is about God, then it becomes easier for me to align with you and drop mine. Or it becomes easier for her to drop hers and align with me. Or we find a melting point where we can blend our strength to work together for the common good.
I think what you have said now is revolutionizing. You said it for one to drop and align with the other or blend together to find a common goal. So can you give one or two strategies to do that without it feeling like someone is acquiescing or someone is using their power to make the other person do what they want?
Okay, like my wife said, I've been at the forefront of pushing her to go higher and higher and higher. Several times I was challenged when we were in Lagos that, oh, Pastor, you are creating problem for us. You particularly the time that she was traveling nearly every month for international travel for meetings, and people will come and say, why are you allowing your wife to travel? Why are you allowing her? It's not right. You can't do that, blah, blah. And I said, well, that's my choice. So why? Because she's pushing me to be my best. I'm also pushing her to be her best. So I don't want to grow outside of her or without her. Neither should she grow without me. Because when growth becomes divergent, there will be a problem in the home. Growth must be convergent. We must grow towards a point. We must grow towards a goal. But when there's divergent growth, then there will be a problem in the home. So, and that's what we have done to each other. She's always been on my neck. You're not doing this. You're not doing this. You should be. You should be. When are you going to? I said, just be patient with me. I will get there.
Mm.
Yeah. So, like my husband said, I think it's just a choice. Is a choice to look out for, the growth and the advancement of each other, and to know that when you do that, at the end of the day, it's about the family. It's not just about it, because the two of you're one. And when you learn to adapt, to forgive, even in times when you have disagreements, or issues that really, like, can I forgive, is a choice. We have to be ready to make that choice. And in our marriage, I have come to that point when God asked me, Abiola, you have to choose. You choose. Your feelings are very real. The offense of your husband is very real. My word is very real. It's a choice. What are you going to align with? And the grace of God, I've come to realize that the grace of God is sufficient even when we're very weak. We can always go to say, Father, humanly speaking, this is really what I want to do. I need your grace, because I want to be able, through this marriage, according to your will, to fulfill your purpose.
Yeah,
So that God factor.
There's a dimension I failed to mention initially, that some few months, about 2 months before we got married, I had a reflection.
I think somebody has a question for you. Hold on for me for 1 second. Thank you for calling into Love and Marriage with Seyi. Do you have a question?
Hi, yes, thank you. Thank you, couple, for being here. Everything you've been saying is really, really awesome. So I was wondering if you could talk more about, the joint accounts and just this automatic union that you guys developed from not even when you got married, but when you got engaged. You talked about how you had joint accounts and how everything was yours, and you shared it together. So first off, how did you feel comfortable doing that? And how did you just know that it was going to work out? Because, in as much as you hope you're marrying a good person and you try to do things right, you hear stories about, good people who maybe they marry someone, the person takes their money and goes, or they start, disagreeing and things really go downhill and they lose everything. And that's why people want to be more careful. So kind of, how did you develop that union, and how did you just feel comfortable being so open? And I guess just also what things about it, because I feel as if there are so many good people in the world. Yeah, just because two good people get together doesn't mean it's going to work out. So what actually differentiates between that, and kind of how did you really make sure you're making the right decision? And one other thing that I'll throw in there.
Let me put you on hold for a minute. Let them understand the question. So the caller wants to know, how is it that you were comfortable, or how do people get comfortable at the beginning setting up a joint account? What if the person takes your money and runs?
But not even just the joint account in particular. It's just the whole idea of how everything is yours. How do you become so open with each other so early on? How do you know that you're doing the right thing? And so that was just one example. But just how do you merge two lives together without feeling as if you need to hold anything back?
Oh, wow. That is, so she wants to know, how do you merge two lives together and know you're doing the right thing without feeling like you should hold something back?
Okay. Let me
Thank
take
you,
it.
caller.
Yeah, thank you for those two powerful questions. The first one first is how do you set up a joint account in the beginning and you're not sure if the person will run away? It means you don't know who your friend is. Because when you call someone your friend or your partner, you should know him or her. And when you know people, it builds trust. Like she said she put a lot of tests for me. I didn't know. So it's after we've gone through it, and she's like, "Oh, I was expecting you to behave this way. I was expecting you to do that." I said, "Well, I didn't do any of those. So it's after taking me through a series of tests, that because if you want to know somebody, you have to expose the person to things that you fear. So when you expose the person to the things that you fear without the person realizing that you are running a test for him or her, and the person scales through, then you're getting to know the person. We don't know someone by word of mouth. Someone tells you, oh, I'm good. How do you prove it? Someone tells you, I don't steal. How do you prove it? So these things has to be proven. Then to the second question, which was, what was that again?
How do you
About how
trust
the
someone so
marriage,
much
Oh,
that
okay.
you blend two lives
how do you
together?
blend two lives together?
Yeah, that again, it takes determination, because you know you are two individual and different lives. Many people are afraid of marriage because they think marriage will make them to lose themselves. A marriage does not make you to lose yourself. Every right marriage, the expectation there is to bring the better side of you out. So if you are in a relationship where that is bringing out the worst in you, then there's something wrong there. Every true relationship, every godly relationship, every friendly relationship should help you to bring the best out from you. So if we want to blend our strength, we may not now having the best out of us does not mean we are compatible in everything.
See things differently.
We think
We see
differently.
things differently.
We see things differently.
Yeah. Then we talk about it. His own side, the way he's saying it, my own side, the way I've seen it. And that doesn't bring about, a fight. And then we try to look at the two angles to that particular situation. And and we move on. So it's not that I'm always right, you're always wrong. And my husband keeps, telling me, especially when we first got married, I had to learn that you can't change me.
And I keep telling you,
Because
Even
we
up
just
to-
from
even up till
different,
now.
completely different
Even up to-
backgrounds. And I'm like, after 35 years, you still don't know this is the way I like this thing to be. I said, no, I have my own way to do it. And then we laugh about it. As long as that thing gets done. He says, as long as it gets done. So why am I complaining?
and the question I keep asking is, what do you want? Result
Or the process.
or the process? If it's the process, then you go through it. But if you want result, leave it, I will do it.
So I had to learn to let go. I think letting go is also very important, being ready to let go and to know that, that other person also have a right to the way they believe things should be done, and respecting that.
That's the point.
It's very important to respect,
The respect for one another.
Yes.
It's very,
It's
very,
very important.
If someone does not respect you, will abuse you.
That is so key. That respecting one another thing is really key. And letting go, accepting the other person to be who they are without trying to change them. I think those are key things in marriage. The question always arises, however, how do you respect? What I think is respect may not be considered respect by the other person. And what if the person, in my opinion, is not putting in what I think is their best? But I like what you said about process or result. Because if the result is the goal, then the process doesn't matter long as you get to the result, to the
Because
desired
the
point.
way you do it will be different from the way I will do it. And these are the things that brings about problems in marriages. We focus more on the process than the goal.
And that's what we need to do. We need to turn our focus from the process to the goal. What is the goal we want?
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like if a lot more people make up their minds that our marriage is going to work, there would indeed be less divorces.
If that is the goal, then the process will work itself out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one area that's also helped us in the margin, like she asked, is very early in marriage, we decided that we're not going to allow anyone or any name, to like make us
To argue,
argue
or to quarrel.
and then to quarrel. So because my brother said this or this one said this, and we start. Even if we want to start, then when I say, no.
Who are we talking about?
Who are we
here?
talking about?
Is it you? No. Is it me? No. Somebody else? Out of the window.
So, so that
Wow.
also helped us. I remember.
So we don't discuss people and argue over them, or have a fight over anything.
Wow.
That is not worth it.
It's
not worth it.
What I remember that I wanted to say, I hope we'll get more questions, was that just 2 months before we got married, I had this turbulence in me that says, why do you want to marry this lady? And I'm like, why? Is it because of her looks? Is it because of her background? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? I didn't know why. So I took time to think over it prayerfully, and I couldn't find a single reason why I want to marry her, other than that I love her.
Wow.
So when I went through my situation, I went to her. I said, why do you want to marry me? Think about it. If it's my look, supposing my look changes a month after marriage due to an accident. If it is my potential, supposing after marriage, 2 years down, potential disappears. We still remain in the marriage. So I asked her, what is it? If all those things that you can list, if they disappear, then will there still be a marriage? And she said, I don't have an answer. Give me time. And then she came back and said, none of those things matter. If they all disappear, I will still love you.
Wow. Wow. I guess that is the question to always ask when you think of marrying somebody. Why do you want to marry this person? But it looks like in your situation, you really had no reason why you wanted to marry each other.
Except for love.
There really was no reason besides a blanket. I love this person.
I love this person as well.
But there was no real, tangible reason. It was just the blanket love. God is love. I just love this person. And, when you look at that, God is love, I love this person, then it seems to me, and I believe you're walking in the strength of God, in your marriage, going on, knowing that God himself, who is love, is the only one that can help you day by day, day by day. And that is why 35 years, you're still thriving and inspiring others through your marriage. And so, I think indeed, I am a very strong believer in the fact that God is the creator of the marriage institution. It's the first institution he created. And I think it's almost impossible to do marriage successfully without God. You've just got to have God in there because he's the only one that can help you. It's two lives coming together as one. Two egos, two different people just coming together. And that's the beauty of marriage. The mystery when you see the two people walking together as one and laughing along the journey, especially like you, where there's a goal and you remain committed to the goal and joyfully pursuing the goal day by day, thereby, meeting, fulfilling the purpose of your marriage. It has been awesome talking with you. We will definitely continue this conversation because we need to spread the word. And this is a great way, to spread the word, to talk about marriage, because the marriage is real. You have to have something you're chasing. If you're chasing children, the children will grow up and leave the nest,
Yeah.
then what next? If you're
Go,
chasing a
go, goal
career,
accomplished.
Yeah. And the friendship is so important that, you are, my husband is my best friend, and the same goes, for him. So,
I don't know if I can share this in 1 minute.
one second.
uh, I got some disturbed because of our attitude when we started courting. The attitude of being too introvert,
Very quiet.
very
I should be
quiet.
very quiet.
The only time you hear her voice is when she's angry. So, and this is me, an outward person. I like jokes. I like to laugh. I just like things around me to be merry.
The man of the people.
And so I said to her, excuse me, if we're going to get married, I will have problems when we are old. She said, what do you mean? I said, when there are no children, I can imagine myself coming to the house saying, hey, and you're just looking at me. What will I do? I said, no, I'm not sure I will be able to survive. Do you still think we can marry? Then she said, what are you talking about? You think you can change me at this age? If you're not interested in marrying me, you go, there's no problem. I said, okay.
Okay, my friend.
Then I went and told her best friend. I said, look, I have this problem.
And childhood friend.
Yeah, and I'm very, very scared. And she said, have you prayed? I said, no. She said, hey, go and pray. He said, go and pray. So I actually now went to pray and reported that to God. And Lord, see, this person that you said is my wife, I have this problem. And I don't think I'm going ahead with this relationship. Then because it was an argument and we left unhappy. So we were not talking again. Normally we do phone calls by night. I go to a phone center to call her. So that stopped. Then suddenly I think she called my hostel and asked that I should be called to answer the phone. And she said she wanted to see me. So I traveled down to Ibadan and she was like, what you said is true, that I think I have a big problem, but can you help me?
wow.
Because I can't do this by myself. I said, oh, wonderful. That's what I'm asking for. I will help you. And then we started the process gradually.
And I became changed. I started talking more than him.
and that makes the family more jolly. More
Today I'm a happy man at over 60.
Because we still do hide and seek.
Yeah.
When he goes, I go hide somewhere and like, is everybody who is at home?
We still play like kids. We run after each other in the home. So
Yes.
But now, if not for God that raised that and we were able to overcome it, at this age, I think I would look much, much older than I am now.
Mm-hmm.
Because at over 60, I look like I'm good for my 50s.
Mm-hmm.
If there is no peace in my home, I can't live right. I can't live well. Mm-hmm. Even the ministry will be in jeopardy.
Yes. Yes.
So I thank God, and I thank God for this woman.
Oh. And I think that's the ultimate, when you are at a place and at a point where you can truly thank God for your partner. That is the ultimate joy. So what, do you have any beautiful thing you want to say to your wife? Any special thing you want to say to her?
Yeah, she turned 60 in a few days' time, and she still looks beautiful as ever from the first day I saw her.
More beautiful.
More beautiful. Even, yeah, truly. even though that day I didn't see it, but I know it was hidden somewhere.
Uh-huh.
But as the year has been, as we move from one year after the other, I see the beauty of God in you and all over you. I just
Oh.
want to say, I appreciate you and I love you.
Oh, how sweet, how sweet, how sweet. And what would you want to say to him?
I just want to say to him again that, and that's usually what I testify. When people say, tell us about your husband, I say, my husband is a blessing, of God to me. So again, to tell you, my dearly beloved husband, that's, you're truly God's help to me, God's blessing, to my life, to the lives of the children, my grandchildren. And we're really, really blessed, to have you as our daddy in this house. I love you. Love you always.
I see how you guys spend a lot of time laughing and just having a good time. It has been very, very awesome talking to you. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. We look forward to talking with you again real soon. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Pastor and Pastor Mrs. Olanipekun, thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you for
Thank you,
having
Robin.
us.
Thank you for
We
having
are really
us.
blessed, to be on the phone.
Well, there we have it again. Cupid's arrow is always flying by, and you never know when it's going to get you. And so, for my love and marriage hopefuls, just keep being yourselves. Just keep enjoying your life. Just keep thriving where you are, because that arrow is coming for you. And for those in marriages already, let's move our marriages beyond ourselves. Let's make our marriages a ministry. Let the goal of our marriage be to help someone, to impact a life, to make a difference in the community. And that way we can begin to make our marriages more meaningful. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's always an awesome time spent with us all. And as we move our marriages into ministries that help and impact others, I pray for us all that God will give our marriages grace to stand and will give us the grace to continue to grow in love for each other and to bring glory, praise, and honor unto his name through our marriages. Until I see you again next month and beyond, the good Lord bless and keep us all.